Hi there, this is Tom Johnson-Medland. Welcome to my second video on taking gel prints and turning them into digital collages. So technically, I guess you could use any kind of a print. It doesn't have to be a gel print. You could use a mono print. You could actually take photographs and use the same process, but I'm kind of honing in on the process for those who are gel printmakers so that they can see how I do it. So we took a picture of two of our mono prints last time in the first video, and I showed you how to recolor them and tint them and adjust them. Now we're going to go ahead and show you how to use Procreate a little bit to create a digital collage by cutting and pasting pieces of a mono print. Okay, so go into your photos in your iPad where you have either sent the pictures that you took that have been edited already via dropping them in AirDrop, or sending them over to your photos from the photos in your iPhone to the photos in your iPad. And those of you who have your iPad and iPhone connected, it'll automatically do that for you. So we're going to concentrate on sending these now to Procreate. Procreate is an app that you can purchase. I think it's only $18 right now on at the at the Apple Store. So download that program in there, and once it's downloaded and you've opened it, you can go ahead and do this. So you'll see that I've selected the photo that I want to send to Procreate. You can only send photos one at a time to Procreate. So if you're doing a large batch, it does take a while, but here we'll send this image to Procreate. Okay, and you'll see that it'll take the exact image and place it into Procreate for you. Then we're going to go back and we're going to get that other image that we made a copy of, which is right here. We're going to do the same thing, go up to the send box, and then again send this one to Procreate. Now, once you've done that, our two images are in Procreate, so we can close out of the images and then go to our Procreate app and open it up. And you'll see I've got a vast collection of Gelli prints that I've digitized and sent over. And usually the way I organize mine is I take all of my Gelli prints from one run and make my photographs. And like I said in the first video, sometimes I take two, sometimes I'll take 3 or 4 images of a Gelli if I can see some use for it in other tints and other color hue changes with the concentration and the contrast. You know, I might take more. So in this particular case, you'll see that here's some that I did not date when I did them. This is just a collection of Gelli prints that I already digitized, and you can see the variety of color in them, right? And then the variety of the prints themselves. Like here's one that I did with, that was, I think, status, right? But anyway, so you can organize them however you want to, but I will create, when I create a pile, here's 85 pieces, so there's 85 Gellis in there, and I title them the originals. I keep them separate from the ones that I'm working on, so I can always go back to the originals and grab that originally retinted image and use it again. And then I call them the workables folder. So when I create a workables stack or folder, I'll take the originals and usually make 1 or 2 duplications of it, pile them all together, and then this is what I work from when I'm going to create new images. Okay, so this is my next batch that I've already taken images of, and they're ready to go. As soon as I finish working with the ones from the previous batch, then I'll go ahead and get on these. But you can see that's pretty sharp looking, right? Okay, so let me go back again to the main screen. You'll see some other things that I did. I did some protest signs here. I did a blocked out an image for Poetry Magazine. But currently, we're going to work with these 2 images, and I'm not going to put them in a stack. But this is the set that I'm currently working from here. Let me open that up for you real quick. I did these prints in October. And this looks like it's the original, so let me get to the workables. This is the workable stack of the prints that I did in October. So this is what I've done so far with that stack. I did this to send to Amazon, to Starbucks during the holiday season. I made I digitized the image and then I cut out and pasted 1 cup slowly, piece by piece by piece. But here you can just kind of see some of the other things that I've done, just to get an idea of what the end product can look like. Come on. There we go. So again, you can see that there's a jelly underneath of this, and then I cut and pasted these images from this very jelly and recolored them and then created this image. Okay. All right, so that's what an end product can look like. Let's go back then to the originals that we're going to work with now. And I would suggest going on to Domestika, right, or and any one of the digital programs online where you can take a class on using Procreate. There are some in, I think some folks have put them in YouTube, but Domestika is a really good art class app that you can go to, and there are others you may find, but if you want to learn how to use Procreate, go and find something separate for that, because I'm not really going to concentrate on that a lot, and it really is the greatest part of your toolkit for making these digital collages. So you'll see up along the top here we have some tools that we're going to use. Procreate is based on layers, so one of the things that you're going to find is when you're working, you want to create more and more layers, and that's how you'll put your collage together. So let's just make a copy of this particular print that we're going to use. I'm going to cut and paste it. Sorry. So I'm going to paste this over top of this one here. Now, just a simple thing that you can do, if you, let's say you're working with it and you want to change the color of the original, which is layer 1, you can take and create a layer 2, and then you can recolor that layer, right? So here's the color tab. You can, let's make it redder, okay? And I want to take and make this more red. Wow, you can see how that changes it drastically, but I don't want it to look that red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the translucence, or the ability to change the opacity of that particular layer in the print, and we'll knock it down to 50%, and you can see the difference. So that's what, if we lay another layer of the same image over top of the original and we turn it red, and then we cut the opacity or the translucence down to 50%, that's what it looks like. And here I can show you what it looks like if we take that completely away. So there's the original, and here's overlaying a second layer, and that makes them a little bit more rich, doesn't it? Okay. So the thing you have to keep in mind is you have to, when you're cutting and pasting, you have to be sure that you're in the right layer that you're going to cut and paste from. So if it's highlighted in blue, then that means that's the layer you're working with. So if I were to cut out a design that I want to lay on top of this to start working towards my collage, I would have to make sure I'm in the right layer. I want to cut out a collage from the first collage piece from the first layer, so I'm going to tap the first layer, and even though this looks redder because I'm seeing both layers together, it will only cut from the first layer because I've highlighted that. Okay. So if I wanted a more red image and I wanted to make it redder, I could go from that top layer, but I'm going to go from the base layer, and I'm going to just do a simple cut. This is your cut tool. You can do freehand, which means you could just draw a shape and then cut that, right? Or you could do, whatever. Doing squiggles is sometimes kind of fun, because then you get to play with it a little bit more. But let's see, what's another possible option here for cutting? We could make, a lot of times I'll make a shape if I'm going to do flowers, like a petal shape, right? And that's what I would cut out. And the way you cut out is you just drag 3 fingers down and you write copy, right? If you write out cut, it'll actually cut that piece out of the layer, but I don't really want to do that. I just want to copy it. Now I'm going to paste it back onto the layer, okay? And now I'm going to recolor that one piece that I just copied. And what's going to happen is, see it? Now, that's because there's the image that I just copied and pasted. It's showing itself over top of this first layer because it's over top, and it's also being filtered out by this other layer, which is a redder layer. Now, if I were to take that off, you could see that's what the cutout piece looks like against the against the original layer or the original print, okay? And you can change the size of it. So if I were going to do a flower, let's just say, I would do it by copying and pasting the same image again to make another petal. And usually the way I do petals for flowers, it depends on what flower you're doing, but usually I'll do this. Okay, I'll make it like, make them opposite each other and then merge the two down. Again, these are tools and techniques that you're going to have to learn by going to Procreate and taking a class. But then I'm going to make it smaller, because what I want to do is I want to copy this and I want to paste some more of it, right? And let's paste a third one. And you can turn, you see how this turns on its axis. It's a little bit off center there. There you go. So let's say I was going to do that. And it doesn't really look like a flower as much now. It looks more like a pinwheel. But if I were to take and merge down all of those petals into one image, then I could copy that image. And then I could paste it by dragging down and pasting it. And then I could just turn that whole thing. And that makes it a little bit more like a flower. You can see it's a little off center, you know. And again, depending on what you're going for, you might want to go back and change it so that these spots that are not cutouts, right? The blank negative space that's left when you move this around. If you wanted that to be more symmetrical, you could go back and do that. What I would do for this, since I'm going to show you, you know, just some basic things, is I'm going to merge the whole thing down. I'm going to recolor it. Let's do it pink so that we can see it up against that background. Okay, you can see that's one way that it could show up coloring. Now, depending on where you place the actual color, it will change. See how that's very, very solid? I don't want that. I want it to look more translucent. So I'm going to tap 2 fingers and go back a screen. And then I'm going to try putting it here and seeing if it makes it. See how it's more translucent now? Because I placed it in a different spot. I'm not really liking that. It's not showing me enough of the distinction. So I'm going to try it darker. I'm going to place it in that spot. See, and that shows things differently. What you'll really want to learn and pay attention to as you're doing is what happens when you place the color in different spots around the image. That's one effect. There's another effect. And you see how I went layer over layer, right? I did the green, green over green. But I can always go back to the original again, change that color. Now, okay, so anyhow, that's just a basic. Now, the other thing that you could do if you wanted to get rid of that negative space is you could certainly copy this, paste it on top of the original, make it smaller, and there you're creating another layer to the flower. Obviously, you're going to have to do this a couple of times if you want to get rid of that negative space completely. Excuse me. Yep, I took it back too far. Okay, let me paste it again. Let me re-shrink it. There we go. And see where I place that. It's going to make it, see, it's going to be completely different. Now you can move that again, right? Look at that. You have the ability to move that around. So you're going to develop all kinds of tricks of the trade that you like to utilize. I'm going to copy this pink layer. I'm going to put it all the way in the center, and I'm going to do that one. I was going to do it white, but I want to show you what happens. Look when you, well, let's do white first. So here's white. We dragged it over. That's kind of cool, but try black too. See how it pops different, right? So for the sake of this video, I'm going to merge all these down. Just know that once you go out of this page, you will not be able to tap 2 fingers and go backwards again. See how I'm able to tap it and it changes back, it puts all those things that I just merged together as individual layers, right? I want to move this and I want to make it translucent altogether. I don't want to make each individual layer translucent because you're only allowed to put a certain amount of layers into an image, and you'll find that out again when you take a class. But for the sake of this particular image in this video, I'm just going to merge them down and I'm going to show you that I can make this flower, number one, I can move it anywhere I want to. I can change its size, right? Let's, put it in a place where it's not quite in the center. And then let's make it a little bit translucent. I can cut it down to, and when you're doing this opacity and translucence, go by, major numbers. Like, see what it looks like when it's 75% translucent, okay? And you're going to see here, see how the pink is off center. So I would go back and I would make sure it's all centered before I'm done with the product, okay? Now, let's see what it would look like if I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it next to it. And that one's at, what did I say, 75? Let's make this one at 50% opacity or translucence, so you can see the difference side by side. There it goes. Okay, so you can see how much more faded that is. So this is just a real quick 15-minute video to show you some of the basics of how to collage. Another thing that you can know is you can move, let's copy this particular one. You can take a piece from this particular digital collage and you can superimpose it on another collage that you're doing by cutting and pasting it into there. So if we wanted to move that around, I have some stock characters that I like to use, like an owl or some foxes, and I will put them in several different images. So there's a beginning for you. Good luck. Don't forget, go online and search for a class on how to use Procreate to be able to get to the depth of some of the things that you can do with Procreate and your Gelli prints. Take care.